What's going on, WWE fans? You're watching The Ring Report, where the wrestling never stops. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's break it down. WWE SmackDown has always been about drama, surprises, and high-stakes moments. But tonight, Drew McIntyre reminded everyone why he's one of the most commanding forces in the company. His entrance wasn't flashy or loud. It was calculated, deliberate, and charged with tension, instantly capturing the WWE Universe's attention. Every glance, every pause, every measured word spoke volumes, making fans wonder what he had planned and who would feel the impact first. McIntyre's presence alone elevated the energy backstage, turning ordinary segments into moments filled with suspense. In a show often dominated by chaos and theatrics, Drew's controlled intensity and quiet authority made it clear something significant is brewing. And by the end of SmackDown, fans will feel the full weight of his chilling message. Drew McIntyre's arrival, commanding attention. When Drew McIntyre walked into the arena, it wasn't for a typical SmackDown segment. The crowd and wrestlers alike felt a shift in energy, a quiet tension that demanded attention. His demeanor was calm but intimidating. Every step purposeful, every glance loaded with meaning. Unlike typical entrances full of fanfare, McIntyre's approach was understated yet powerful, creating suspense before a single word was spoken. This was a man holding the room hostage, not with volume, but with presence. WWE fans immediately picked up on it. Drew was signaling that something monumental was about to happen. His measured approach reminded everyone that sometimes silence is louder than any promo. This was storytelling through posture and intent, setting the stage for the drama to unfold. Kathy Kelly and the stipulation question. Kathy Kelly's timely question about the stipulation acted as a narrative catalyst. In WWE, stipulations aren't just rules. They are plot devices that can redefine careers, titles, and rivalries. Drew's measured response, acknowledging the question, but refusing to answer immediately, created intrigue and suspense. This moment illustrated how tension in wrestling isn't always built through action. It can be built through anticipation. The audience was left to imagine the possibilities, speculating about what type of match or conditions Drew might demand. By deflecting without evading, McIntyre established control, signaling that he alone would dictate the pace of the storyline. WWE storytelling thrives on moments like this, where the audience feels the weight of every word and anticipates the payoff. The jet lag comment. A subtle mind game. When Drew mentioned being jet-lagged, the remark seemed casual, but it carried layered meaning. In wrestling, minor comments often serve as strategic devices, giving the impression of vulnerability, while actually heightening tension. Fans were left questioning whether Drew was genuinely tired or using the statement to manipulate perception. This calculated ambiguity added depth to his character, demonstrating how he could control the narrative without overt aggression. WWE storytelling often rewards subtlety. And here, the combination of McIntyre's demeanor and choice of words made the audience lean in closer. The tension wasn't just in the matches that night. It was in every glance, every pause, and every implied threat that Drew projected. Building suspense. The promise of answers. The pivotal moment came when Drew promised that all answers would be revealed by the end of the night. That single line transformed the entire SmackDown into a narrative countdown. Every segment, backstage moment, and interaction now carried extra weight as fans anticipated the revelation. WWE excels at long-term storytelling, and this was a textbook example of patience and tension building. The audience was engaged not just as spectators, but as participants in the suspense. By delaying the disclosure, McIntyre created stakes beyond the immediate match, emphasizing that what was to come could impact legacies, careers, and rivalries. The promise alone made SmackDown feel unpredictable and urgent, controlled intensity, redefining McIntyre's character. Drew McIntyre's approach contrasted sharply with the typical loud, brash wrestler persona. His calm, controlled intensity suggested danger without needing to shout or attack. This subtle form of storytelling highlighted a shift in character dynamics. McIntyre's influence came from presence and precision rather than chaos. Fans could sense that whatever stipulation or plan he had was deeply personal, adding emotional weight to the eventual payoff. This calculated suspense created an aura of inevitability, making every future interaction feel consequential. WWE's focus on character-driven tension over raw spectacle reminded the audience that narrative depth often matters more than flashy moments. Impact on SmackDown, raising every segment's stakes. With Drew holding the night's answers hostage, the stakes for every SmackDown segment rose dramatically. Audience attention was heightened. Every backstage conversation or match carried potential significance. WWE storytelling thrives on these ripple effects, turning smaller moments into meaningful narrative threads. Fans were no longer simply watching individual matches. They were tracking McIntyre's intentions, trying to anticipate how each development tied into the oppinsiler samste postuadigs frau. How this structure creates an immersive viewing experience where the audience feels invested in the drama unfolding, not just the physical action in the ring. The silence speaks, mastering. Psychological tension. One of the most effective aspects of this SmackDown was Drew's strategic use of silence. Instead of bombastic promos, McIntyre used pauses, glances, and measured responses to build tension. Silence in wrestling can amplify suspense, forcing the audience to project their expectations onto the character's next move. Fans felt the weight of every unspoken word, wondering if McIntyre would reveal his plan, attack, or manipulate other competitors. WWE storytelling often rewards these understated techniques, showing that anticipation and psychological tension can be as compelling as in-ring action. McIntyre's mastery of this form of narrative made him a magnetic presence throughout the show. The personal stakes, a strategic reveal. Drew's promise implied that the upcoming stipulation or revelation wasn't random. It was personal. The anticipation suggested connections to rivalries, career trajectories, or unresolved storylines. WWE fans instantly theorized about potential outcomes, considering whether the announcement would affect championships, relationships, or future feuds. By framing the night as a pivotal turning point, WWE elevated the importance of McIntyre's words and actions. This approach demonstrates how long-term storytelling can intertwine character development, suspense, and audience investment. Every interaction McIntyre had throughout SmackDown became a potential clue, deepening the narrative and building toward a high-stakes payoff. WWE's old-school tension building. In a modern wrestling world often dominated by immediate gratification and rapid pacing, Drew McIntyre's segment harkened back to old-school tension building. Instead of rushing to action, WWE allowed suspense to simmer, letting anticipation create excitement. Fans were drawn into a psychological game, engaging with every subtle cue, delay, and reaction. This method reinforces the power of pacing, showing that moments of restraint can make eventual reveals or confrontations far more impactful. McIntyre's segment illustrated that WWE storytelling isn't just about moves. It's about carefully orchestrating drama that grips the audience from start to finish. Audience engagement, speculation, and anticipation. By withholding answers until later in the night, WWE effectively turned SmackDown into an interactive narrative experience. Fans engaged in speculation, debating possible stipulations and outcomes, heightening the sense of community and investment. Social media buzz, fan theories, and discussion threads amplified the suspense, making the storyline feel alive beyond the arena. WWE's ability to involve the audience directly in anticipation reflects a deeper understanding of modern wrestling storytelling. McIntyre's calm control and strategic delay transformed passive viewership into active engagement, turning every fan into a participant in the unfolding drama. A night, defined by suspense and mastery. By the end of the segment, Drew McIntyre had completely shifted the tone of SmackDown. His quiet intensity, strategic ambiguity, and controlled demeanor made the entire night feel tense and significant. Fans left, with more questions than answers, eagerly awaiting the eventual revelation. This approach highlights WWE's capacity for long-term storytelling, psychological engagement, and character-driven tension. McIntyre's method of holding the audience hostage without overt aggression demonstrates a mastery of narrative that elevates wrestling beyond simple matches. The night's events set the stage for consequential moments, rivalries, and character arcs, proving that anticipation and control can be as thrilling as any in-ring performance.